Arrogance often wears a smile, convinced of its own invincibility. In the Rust Belt town of Millfield Creek, where abandoned factories cast long shadows and desperation clung to street corners, 4 gang members sauntered into a 24-hour gas station, certain they'd found an easy mark, a solitary white man behind the counter, quiet and watchful. To them, Marcus Reed was just another target. They didn't know he was a former Navy SEAL combat instructor and an undefeated regional mixed martial arts heavyweight. Beneath his stillness was precision, discipline, and devastating capability. By the time they reached for him, they had already initiated a confrontation they couldn't possibly win. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly glow across the cracked linoleum of Harmon's Gas Go. Beyond the smudged windows, the Midwestern night stretched empty and cold, broken only by occasional headlights on the distant highway. The place sat just off Interstate 43, on the outskirts of Millfield Creek, a town with more closed storefronts than open ones, where hope had packed up with the manufacturing jobs decades ago. Marcus stood motionless behind the counter, eyes methodically scanning the security monitors. His reflection in the scratched plexiglass revealed nothing of his thoughts, just a man in his 30s with close-cropped hair and shoulders that filled out his plain gray t-shirt with unmistakable density. The station was nearly empty, just rows of dusty snacks, coolers humming with energy drinks, and the persistent smell of burnt coffee. When the black SUV pulled in without headlights at 2:17 a.m., Marcus noticed immediately. His posture didn't change, but something in his eyes sharpened. 4 men emerged, moving with the exaggerated swagger of those who mistake cruelty for strength. Their leader, tall, with intricate tattoos climbing his neck above a red hoodie, pointed toward the store entrance while saying something that made the others laugh. Marcus didn't reach for the silent alarm. Not yet. He'd seen this choreography before, in places where danger announced itself differently but carried the same intent. He simply adjusted his stance slightly, weight balanced evenly between both feet, hands relaxed at his sides. The bell above the door jangled as they entered, spreading out with practiced coordination. The leader approached the counter directly, while the others positioned themselves strategically, one by the drink coolers, another near the snack aisle, the fourth lingering by the door. "Well, look what we got here," the leader said, voice pitched to Carrie. Though they only hired brothers in this neighborhood, he leaned against the counter, invading Marcus's space with deliberate disrespect. "You lost, white boy?" Marcus met his gaze evenly. "Just covering a shift. Can I help you with something?" The man's smile widened, revealing a gold tooth. "Jamal, you hear this? Man's offering help." He turned back to Marcus. "Yeah, you can help. Empty that register, nice and quiet." Behind him, the one called Jamal knocked several chip bags off a display, crushing them underfoot with exaggerated movements. "Oops," he called out, voice thick with mockery. Marcus didn't flinch. "You should leave," he said quietly. "Now." The leader's expression hardened. "Are you giving orders?" His hand shot forward, grabbing Marcus's collar and yanking him forward. "You don't understand the situation." His words cut off as Marcus's right arm snapped up between his elbows, breaking the grip with surgical precision. Before anyone could react, Marcus stepped inside the man's reach, pivoted his hips, and drove an elbow into his sternum with controlled force. The leader stumbled backward, colliding with a candy display that collapsed in a cascade of colorful wrappers. For one suspended moment, the other 3 froze, processing what they'd just witnessed. That hesitation was all Marcus needed. He vaulted the counter with fluid efficiency, moving toward the nearest attacker, a muscular man already reaching for something in his waistband. Marcus closed the distance in 3 steps, ducked a wild punch, and delivered a precise strike to the man's solar plexus. As the attacker doubled over, Marcus seized his arm, using the man's momentum to flip him over his shoulder. The impact against the floor echoed through the store, followed by a groan as consciousness fled. "Deshaun, get him," shouted the third man, backing toward the coolers while fumbling with a knife. Deshaun charged forward, swinging a heavy chain he'd pulled from his pocket. Marcus sidestepped, allowing the chain to whistle past his ear before driving forward into a clinch. He locked his arms around Deshaun's midsection, lifted him off his feet, and slammed him into the edge of a metal shelf. The collision knocked the wind from Deshaun's lungs, but he clawed desperately at Marcus's face, catching him with a glancing blow to the jaw. Marcus absorbed the hit without breaking focus. He secured Deshawn's arm in a hyperextension lock and applied pressure until the man's knees buckled. One controlled strike to the temple and Deshawn collapsed beside his unconscious friend. The knife wielder circled warily, blade extended. "You're dead," he hissed, lunging forward with a slashing attack. Marcus retreated just enough to avoid the blade's arc, then countered with a devastating front kick that connected with the attacker's knee. The joint buckled with a sickening sound. As the man stumbled, Marcus closed in, disarming him with a wrist lock before delivering a precise elbow strike that dropped him instantly. The leader had regained his feet, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. He held a tire iron now, gripped white, knuckled in his right hand. "You think you're something special?" he snarled. "You're nothing but a dead man walking." Marcus rolled his shoulders, assessing the bleeding cut on his forearm where the knife had grazed him. "I've faced worse men in worse places," he replied evenly. "You won't be the one to break me." The leader charged with a roar, swinging the tire iron in a vicious arc. Marcus parried the blow, redirecting its momentum while stepping inside the man's guard. He delivered a punishing combination, a short hook to the ribs, an uppercut that snapped the leader's head back, followed by a sweeping leg kick that compromised his balance. As the leader staggered, Marcus seized control, executing a textbook rear-naked choke. The leader thrashed briefly before his struggles weakened, then ceased altogether. Marcus eased him to the floor, unconscious but breathing. The store fell silent, except for the hum of the refrigerators and the labored breathing of the only man still conscious. Marcus stood amid the aftermath, blood seeping from his split lip and forearm, but his posture remained composed. He reached for his phone and dialed with steady fingers. "This is Marcus Reed at Harmon's Gas. Go. 4 armed individuals attempted robbery. Situation contained. Need police and medical help." His voice betrayed no emotion, just factual precision. When Officer Eliza Chen arrived 7 minutes later, she found Marcus applying pressure to one attacker's bleeding head wound. Her hand instinctively moved toward her weapon until she fully processed the scene. "Reed?" she questioned, recognizing him from the community center where he sometimes trained local kids in self-defense. "You did all this?" Marcus nodded once. "They didn't leave me much choice." The aftermath unfolded with bureaucratic predictability. Statements taken, evidence collected, surveillance footage reviewed. The 4 attackers were identified as members of the East Side Phantoms, a gang responsible for a string of increasingly violent robberies across 3 counties. All had extensive records, 2 were out on parole. What nobody expected was what happened 3 days later. Marcus was restocking the cooler when his phone vibrated with a news alert. The leader of the group, Antoine Wells, had been found dead in his cell, apparent suicide according to preliminary reports. But something felt wrong about the timing. That evening, Marcus found a note slipped under the gas station's back door. "You embarrassed the wrong people. This isn't over." The next day, Officer Chen stopped by, expression grave. "Antoine didn't kill himself," she said without preamble. "Me found defensive wounds inconsistent with suicide. And there's more. He was about to turn state's evidence on someone big, someone who runs more than just street gangs." Marcus absorbed this silently. The others? Transferred to county lockup yesterday, except they never arrived. Chen's eyes met his. Transport van was found empty. No bodies, no blood. Just 4 missing prisoners and 2 guards who claim they remember nothing. That night, Marcus noticed the black sedan parked across from the gas station, engine off but windows tinted too dark to see inside. It remained there for 3 hours before disappearing when he stepped outside. The next night, it returned. On the 5th night, Marcus closed early. He disabled the security cameras, turned off the lights, and waited in darkness. When the sedan pulled up at midnight, 3 men emerged, none from the original group, but moving with the same predatory confidence. They approached the darkened station with weapons drawn. Marcus watched from the roof access, tracking their movements. These weren't street thugs. They moved with tactical discipline, military training, or something close to it. This wasn't about robbery anymore. As they breached the back entrance, Marcus descended silently behind them. The first man never saw the strike that rendered him unconscious. The second turned just in time to meet a devastating combination that left him crumpled against the stockroom shelves. The third, however, was different. He moved like someone who had spent years in combat zones, anticipating Marcus's attack and countering with shocking speed. They exchanged a flurry of strikes, each reading the other's training in their movements. "Seal?" the man asked during a momentary separation, blood trickling from his nose. "Team 6, Marcus confirmed. Your Ranger Battalion." The man nodded. "Afghanistan, 2014. "Then you should know better than this," Marcus said. "Who sent you?" Instead of answering, the man attacked again, driving Marcus back with a series of precise combinations. They crashed through the stockroom door into the main store, trading blows that would have incapacitated lesser opponents. Glass shattered as they slammed into a refrigerator door. Displays toppled around them. Marcus finally gained advantage with a feinted jab that created an opening for a devastating liver shot. As the man doubled over, Marcus secured a Kimura lock, hyperextending the shoulder joint to the threshold of dislocation. "Last chance," Marcus warned. "Who sent you?" The man's laugh was more of a pained cough. "Someone who owns half this county, including most of your police department. Someone who uses the Phantoms to distribute products through 3 states. Someone who doesn't like when his operations get interrupted by viral videos of his people getting embarrassed." "Name," Marcus demanded, applying slightly more pressure. "Victor Crane," the man gasped. "But knowing won't save you. He's already." Headlights suddenly swept across the storefront as multiple vehicles surrounded the building. Marcus released the hold and moved to the window. Police cruisers, but something felt wrong about their arrival. No sirens, no radio chatter. Officer Chen's voice came from his phone. "Marcus, get out now. Those aren't my people." As false officers breached the entrance, Marcus slipped through the back, disappearing into the night with evidence that would eventually dismantle not just a gang, but a criminal enterprise that had corrupted the very institutions meant to fight it. The gas station security footage, meanwhile, had already been uploaded to servers beyond anyone's reach, showing the world that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one standing quietly behind the counter, waiting for others to make the first move.